I gave her my loyalty, and she handed me over to the people who hated me most. The worst part? She smiled while doing it. My name is Ethan Cole, and if you saw me a year ago, you would have thought I had everything figured out. A stable job, a long-term girlfriend, a family that looked perfect from the outside. But that's the thing about appearances. They lie better than people. I grew up in a house where love was conditional. My father didn't yell much. He didn't have to. His silence was louder than anger. His approval, rare. His disappointment, constant. You could have done better, he would say, even when I did my best. My mother wasn't any better. She cared more about what people thought than how I felt. Don't embarrass us, she'd whisper, before every family gathering, like I was some kind of risk. So I learned early, love had to be earned. And even then, it wasn't guaranteed. Maybe that's why I fell so hard for her. Lily Harper. She was everything my world wasn't. Warm, gentle, soft in the places I was broken. She looked at me like I mattered. And God, I needed that more than I realized. I see you, she once told me, brushing her fingers against my cheek. I know you're not what they say you are. That moment, it felt like oxygen after years of suffocating. So I gave her everything, my time, my trust, my future. I ignored the small things at first, the way she'd disappear for hours and come back with vague answers, the way she'd get defensive over simple questions, the way her phone was always face down. I told myself I was overthinking, because when you finally feel loved, you don't want to question it. Then came the night everything broke. It was my father's birthday dinner. A big one. Important clients. Family friends. The kind of night where image mattered more than truth. Lily insisted on coming. I want to support you, she said. That should have been my first warning. Dinner started normal. Fake smiles, polite laughter, the usual tension hiding under expensive plates. Then my father stood up. I have an announcement, he said, raising his glass. The room quieted. I've decided to promote someone within the company to a senior position. Someone who has proven loyalty and integrity. My chest tightened. I had been working toward that position for 3 years. Late nights, missed holidays, endless pressure. This was it. This person, he continued, has also brought something important to my attention recently. Something important? He turned to me. And for the first time in my life, I saw something in his eyes that wasn't disappointment. It was something worse. Disgust. Ethan, he said slowly, care to explain the missing funds from last quarter? The room froze. My ears rang. What? I laughed nervously. There must be a mistake. There's no mistake, he cut me off, his voice cold. We have proof. Proof? That word hit like a punch. I looked around, faces staring, judging, whispering. Then I looked at Lily. She wasn't confused. She wasn't shocked. She was calm, too calm. Lily, I whispered, my voice breaking. What's going on? She didn't answer right away. Instead, she stood up slowly, every movement deliberate, and then she walked toward my father. My stomach dropped. I'm sorry, Ethan, she said softly, not even looking at me. But they deserved to know the truth. Truth? What truth? My voice cracked. What are you talking about? She finally turned to face me, and her eyes, they were empty. I found the transactions, she said. Hidden accounts, transfers. I didn't want to believe it, but I couldn't lie. My heart stopped. No, that's not. Lily, you know I would never. I gave your father everything, she interrupted. All the evidence. Everything inside me shattered in that moment, because I knew I didn't do any of that, which meant only one thing. Someone had set me up. And she handed me over without even asking me. Why? I whispered. Why would you do this to me? There was a pause. A flicker of something crossed her face. Guilt? Regret? No. It was something colder. You were never going to make it on your own, Ethan, she said quietly. This just sped things up. The room exploded into noise. Accusations, gasps, phones coming out. But I couldn't hear any of it. All I could hear was the sound of my own heartbeat, breaking. I trusted you, I said, barely audible. And I trusted what I saw, she replied. Security was called. My own father wouldn't even look at me. Remove him, he said. Remove him, not my son, not Ethan, just him. As they dragged me out, I looked back one last time. At the table. At the life I thought was mine. At the girl I thought loved me. And in that moment, something inside me died. Not just my career, not just my reputation, me. Because the truth wasn't just that I fell for the wrong person. It was that I never stood a chance to begin with. And as the doors closed behind me, one thought echoed in the silence. If she could destroy me this easily, what else don't I know? The first night after everything collapsed, I didn't sleep, not because I couldn't, but because every time I closed my eyes, I saw her. Standing there, calm, collected, destroying me with that quiet voice. I gave your father everything. Those words kept replaying like a curse. I sat on the edge of my bed. No, not my bed anymore. The apartment lease was under my company benefits, and once I was fired, everything disappeared faster than I could process. Job, reputation, home, gone in less than 24 hours. It's funny how quickly people distance themselves when you become a problem. My phone was full of messages that night. Not from friends, from coworkers. Is it true? What did you do? Man, I didn't expect this from you. No one asked if I was okay. No one asked if it was a lie. They just wanted confirmation of my downfall. I didn't reply. I couldn't. Because I didn't even understand what had just happened. The next few days felt like I was watching my life from outside my body. I moved into a cheap motel on the edge of the city. The kind of place where the walls were too thin and the lights flickered like they were tired of existing. It smelled like old smoke and regret. Perfect, I guess. I stopped looking in mirrors. I stopped checking my phone. I stopped feeling. Or at least, I tried to. But pain doesn't disappear just because you ignore it. It waits. Quietly. until it hits you when you're weakest. And for me, that moment came on the fourth night. I was sitting on the floor, back against the bed, staring at nothing, when my phone buzzed. Her name, Lily. My chest tightened. For a second, just a second, I felt hope. Maybe she realized. Maybe she's going to fix this. Maybe she... I answered. Hello? Silence. Then her voice, soft, controlled. I didn't think you'd pick up. I let out a hollow laugh. Yeah, well, I guess I'm full of bad decisions. Another pause. I didn't call to fight, she said. Then why did you call? My voice sharpened. To finish the job? No, she sighed. I just wanted to explain. Explain? I stood up, pacing the small room. Explain what, Lily? I snapped. How you ruined my life. How you handed me over like I meant nothing. You're not listening. No, you're not listening. My voice cracked. I didn't do it. I would never steal from the company. You know that. There was silence on the other end. Heavy, uncomfortable. Then she said something that made my blood run cold. I saw the files, Ethan. So show them to me, I shot back. Let me see what you think you saw. Another pause. Longer this time. I can't. My heart dropped. Why not? Because they're not with me anymore. A slow, creeping realization began to form in my mind. Who has them? I asked quietly. She hesitated, and that hesitation told me everything. My father? I said, the words tasting bitter. Or yours? Still silence. And then, Ethan, some things are bigger than you think. That sentence, it felt wrong, too vague, too careful, like she was hiding something. No, I whispered. No, don't do that. Don't talk to me like I'm stupid. What's going on? I was trying to protect you, she said suddenly. I froze. Protect me, I repeated, disbelief flooding my voice. By accusing me? By destroying everything I worked for? You don't understand. Then make me understand, I shouted. My voice echoed against the walls, but hers didn't rise. It stayed calm, detached. That position you wanted, she said slowly. It wasn't just a promotion. I frowned. What are you talking about? It came with responsibilities, risks, things your father didn't want exposed. My heart started beating faster. What kind of risks? She exhaled softly. The kind that ruin people. A chill ran down my spine. So instead, you ruined me first? I asked quietly. I gave them something they could control, she said. Something safer. Safer. I laughed again, but this time it hurt. You framed me as a criminal because it was safer. I didn't frame you, she said quickly. The evidence was real. But the actions weren't, I snapped. Someone put my name on those transactions. She didn't deny it. And that was worse than anything. Lily! My voice dropped, trembling. Who did this? There was a long pause. Then finally, I can't tell you. That was it. That was the moment something inside me shifted. Not broke, not shattered. Shifted. Because up until then, I was still hoping, still clinging to the idea that she cared, that there was some misunderstanding. But hearing that, hearing her choose silence over truth, it killed whatever was left of that illusion. Okay, I said quietly. She seemed surprised. Okay? Yeah, I repeated. I get it now. Ethan! No! I cut her off, my voice suddenly steady. You've made your choice! And what does that mean? I looked around the empty room, at the peeling walls, at the life I no longer had, and for the first time since everything fell apart, I felt something clear. Not pain, not confusion, clarity. It means I'm done being the person everyone uses, I said. Silence. Then, softer this time. You're going to regret this. I almost smiled. Maybe, I admitted, but not as much as I regret trusting you. And then I hung up. The room went quiet again. But this time, it felt different. Still heavy, still dark, but no longer suffocating. I walked to the mirror, forced myself to look. I barely recognized the man staring back at me. Tired eyes, hollow expression, a version of me that had been stripped of everything. For a moment, I hated him. How did you let this happen? How did you not see it? But then another thought came, quieter, stronger. Because you wanted to believe in people who didn't deserve it. I leaned closer to the mirror, studied every flaw, every crack, and then I said it, out loud. I won't stay like this anymore. The words felt strange at first, unfamiliar, but also powerful. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't saying it to prove something to someone else. I was saying it for me. I didn't know how I was going to fix everything. I didn't know who set me up. I didn't know how deep this went. But I knew one thing. I wasn't going to sit in this darkness and let it define me. Not anymore. Because if they thought they had destroyed me, they were wrong. They had just removed everything that was holding me back. And now I had nothing left to lose, which meant I could finally become someone they would never see coming. Stronger, colder, untouchable. I picked up my phone again, scrolled through the contacts I had ignored, people I had overlooked, opportunities I had never considered, because I was too busy trying to fit into a life that was never mine. That ends now, because the truth is, pain doesn't just break you. If you survive it, it rebuilds you into something dangerous. And as I turned off the lights and lay down in that cheap motel bed, one thought settled into my mind like a promise. They took everything from me. Now I'm going to take something back. People think revenge starts with anger. It doesn't. It starts with silence. The kind of silence where you stop explaining yourself, where you stop defending your name, where you stop caring about what people think, because you finally understand something. They already decided who you are. So why not become someone they never expected? The first thing I did was disappear. Not dramatically, not in a way that made people notice. I just stopped existing in their world. New number, new routine, new version of me. The motel turned into a small rented room above a closed shop. It wasn't much, but it was mine. No expectations, no history, no one watching, just me, and the truth I needed to face. I was weak, not physically, not even mentally, but emotionally. I was easy to manipulate. I trusted too quickly, loved too deeply, ignored too many red flags. That version of me, he had to go. So I started small. Wake up early, no phone, no distractions, just discipline. At first, it felt pointless. Making my bed, running in the cold morning air, reading instead of scrolling. But over time, those small things built something bigger. Control. And control is power. I got a job at a logistics company, entry level, nothing impressive. The old me would have been ashamed. But this version, I didn't care about status anymore. I cared about access. Because while everyone thought I was starting over, I was actually starting deeper. I paid attention to numbers, to systems, to people, especially people. Because if there's one thing I learned from being betrayed, it's that the truth is never where people say it is. It's hidden in behavior, in hesitation, in what they don't say. And slowly, patterns started forming, not just in my new job, but in my past. I began digging, quietly, carefully. The financial records I could still access, old emails, archived files. It took weeks, then months. But I found something. A name, Marcus Hale, my father's right-hand man. The one person who had full access to the financial systems. The one person who could move money without raising suspicion. And the one person who suddenly got promoted right after I was exposed. My chest tightened when I saw it. Of course, it was never about me. I was just convenient. But that still left one question. Why did Lily help him? That answer came later. And when it did, it hit harder than everything else combined. 6 months after everything fell apart, I saw her again. Not by accident. Nothing in my life was accidental anymore. She was at a cafe downtown, the same one we used to go to every Sunday. She looked the same, maybe a little tired, maybe a little quieter, but still her. For a moment I just stood there, watching, not with love, not with anger, just observation. This is the person who destroyed you. And strangely, I didn't feel anything. That scared me more than the pain ever did. I walked in, ordered a coffee, and sat 2 tables away. She noticed me almost immediately. Her body stiffened. Her eyes widened. "Ethan!" I didn't respond right away. Just took a sip of my coffee, let the silence stretch. Then finally, "Hey, Lily!" My voice was calm, too calm. She stood up slowly and walked over. I didn't think I'd ever see you again." "That was the plan," I said. She swallowed. "You look different." "I am." There was an awkward pause. Then she sat down across from me without asking. Same habit, still crossing boundaries. "I've been wanting to talk to you," she said. "About what?" I asked. "Another explanation?" Her eyes dropped. "No, the truth." That got my attention. I leaned back slightly. Go on. She took a deep breath. Marcus came to me first, she said. My fingers tightened around the cup. I didn't know who he really was at the time. He showed me files, transactions, everything tied to your name. I know, I said quietly. But that's not all, she continued. He told me, if I didn't bring it to your father, they would make it worse. I frowned. Worse how? Her voice dropped to almost a whisper. They said they'd make sure you went to prison. My stomach twisted. And you believed them? I was scared, she said, her eyes filling with tears. They made it sound real, like everything was already set up. I thought, if I told your father first, maybe it would stay inside the company. I stared at her, trying to process. So you sacrificed me? To protect me? It wasn't supposed to go that far, she whispered. I didn't know they'd destroy you like that. I let out a slow breath. And for a second, I almost believed her. Almost. But then I remembered something. You never came to me, I said. Not once. She froze. I couldn't. No, I cut her off. You chose not to. Silence. Heavy. Unavoidable. Do you know what that means? I asked. She shook her head slowly. It means you didn't trust me, I said. Not even enough to ask if it was true. Her tears fell now. I'm sorry. I nodded. I know. And I meant it. That was the strange part. I wasn't angry anymore, because anger requires attachment. And whatever I felt for her, it was gone. I've been trying to fix it, she said quickly. I still have some messages, calls. I think I can prove Marcus was behind it. I looked at her carefully. This was it, the moment, the opportunity. The old me would have jumped at it, would have begged for her help, would have tried to clear his name as fast as possible. But this version? I smiled slightly. I already know. She blinked. What? I've been building this for months, I said calmly. Every transaction, every connection, every move he made. Her expression shifted from confusion to realization. You're going after him. I stood up, finished my coffee, and looked down at her one last time. Not just him, I said quietly. Then who else? I leaned in slightly, close enough for her to hear. Everyone who thought I was easy to break. Her breath caught. Ethan, what are you going to do? I paused, just for a second, then said the truth. Nothing loud. I straightened. No revenge speeches, no drama. I met her eyes. Just results. And then I walked away. Because the most powerful revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's becoming someone they can't reach anymore. And as I stepped out into the cold air, I realized something important. This was never about getting my old life back. That life? It was built on approval, on validation, on people who never truly cared. Number. This was about something else. Control, truth, and balance. Because while they were busy thinking I was gone, I was becoming the consequence they never prepared for. And soon, they would feel it, not through words, but through loss. Silent, precise, permanent. Revenge doesn't arrive with noise. It doesn't knock. It doesn't warn you. It just unfolds. Quietly. And by the time people realize what's happening, it's already too late. 3 weeks after I saw Lily, Marcus Hale disappeared. Not physically, he still showed up to the office, still wore his expensive suits, still smiled like he owned the world. But behind the scenes, everything started collapsing. Accounts flagged, internal audits triggered, anonymous reports sent to the board. Not accusations, facts, cold, precise, undeniable. I didn't rush it. I didn't expose everything at once. No, I let it breathe. Let it spread. Because truth, when released slowly, becomes poison. And Marcus? He started choking on it. The first crack appeared during a board meeting. I wasn't there, but I heard about it. Unexplained discrepancies, unauthorized movements, missing approvals. Small things, but enough to make powerful people nervous. And when powerful people get nervous, they start looking for someone to blame. A week later, Marcus was under investigation. His access was restricted. His authority questioned. And for the first time in years, he wasn't in control. But I wasn't done. Because Marcus wasn't the only one responsible. He was just the hand, not the mind. I requested a meeting with my father, not as his son, as a former employee seeking closure. He agreed. Of course he did. People like him always think they're in control of the narrative. Walking into that office again, it felt strange, familiar, cold, like stepping into a version of my past that no longer fit me. He was sitting behind his desk, same posture, same expression, same distance in his eyes. "You look different," he said. I almost smiled. "I am." He nodded slightly, studying me. "I assume you've heard about the situation with Marcus." "I have," I said calmly. And I think you trusted the wrong person." His jaw tightened. "Be careful what you imply." "I'm not implying anything," I replied. "I'm stating facts." Silence, tense, sharp. Then he leaned forward. "What do you want, Ethan?" Not, "How are you?" Not, "What happened?" Just, "What do you want?" I looked at him for a long moment. And in that silence, I understood something I had been chasing my whole life. He was never going to see me. Not really. Not as a son. Not as a person. Just as a variable. A risk. Or a tool. And suddenly, that hurt less than it used to. "I want the truth to come out," I said. "It already is." "No." I shook my head slightly. "Not all of it." His eyes narrowed. "What are you saying?" I reached into my bag, placed a folder on his desk. Not thick, not dramatic, just enough. He opened it slowly, and as he read, I watched. Because this moment, this was the real revenge. Not anger, not shouting, just reality hitting where it hurts. His expression shifted. from control to confusion to something I had never seen before, uncertainty. "These documents," he muttered. "Where did you get them?" I didn't answer, because the answer didn't matter. What mattered was what they showed. That Marcus had been moving money for years. That the system wasn't broken. It was used, and most importantly, that I was never involved. Not once. Not ever. "You're saying," he looked up at me slowly, "you were innocent." I held his gaze. "I've always been." Silence filled the room. Heavy, uncomfortable, real. And then, something I never expected. He looked away, just for a second. But it was enough, because in that moment, I saw it. Regret, not loud, not emotional, but there. And strangely, it didn't feel as good as I thought it would. Marcus was fired 2 days later, then arrested. The company released a statement. Internal errors, misjudgment, corrective actions. My name cleared, quietly, no apology, no public acknowledgement, just erased from the mistake, like I was never part of it. And Lily? She texted me. "I saw the news. You did it." I stared at the message for a long time, then typed back. "No, the truth did." She replied almost instantly. "Can we talk?" I looked at those 3 words, felt nothing, then deleted the conversation. Because here's the truth no one tells you about revenge. It doesn't fix you. It doesn't heal you. It just balances the scale. And once the scale is balanced, you're left alone with everything that broke along the way. I got my reputation back. Opportunities came again. People who once doubted me suddenly respected me. Funny how that works. But I didn't go back. Not to that company, not to that life. Because I finally understood something important. If a place can destroy you that easily, it was never safe to begin with. I moved to a different city, started over, again. But this time, on my terms. Smaller circle, stronger boundaries. No more chasing approval. No more ignoring red flags. No more giving people access they didn't earn. Sometimes, late at night, I still think about everything. About Lily, about my father, about the version of me that believed love meant sacrifice. And I don't hate him. That version of me? He was just trying to be loved. He just didn't know. That love without respect is just another form of control. People think I won, that I got justice. And maybe, from the outside, it looks that way. But inside, there's a quiet space that never fully came back. A softness that disappeared somewhere between betrayal and truth. And I don't know if I'll ever get it back. But I do know this. I'm not the same person anymore. And maybe that's the real cost. Sometimes the people who break you also build the version of you that no longer needs them. I got my revenge, but I never got myself back.